Now I've darkened two of the edges of this shape. Up here, you see we've got the darkened edge, and down here we've got the darkened edge. And this darkened edge here we're going to consider to be a vector, starting from this point and moving down to this point. Now we can see that that vector has a component in the x direction. It moves in the x direction. It also moves downward in the z direction. It doesn't go anywhere in the y direction. So from the numbers we have here, we can figure out what the components of that vector are. And similarly, we can figure out the components of the vector from this point to this point. So let's remove the object and just consider what the components of the vector would be. The vector that goes from the point above the x to the point above this corner on the original shape, that is the vector from this point down to this point. From these numbers we can see that the change in x along that vector is 4, and the change in z, well, we're going from 5 to 3. The change in z is 3 minus 5, which is negative 2. So this vector is going to be written as what we'll call the first fundamental vector, and that's going to be 4i, where I is the unit vector in the x direction, minus 2k, where k is the unit vector in the z direction. And similarly, we're going to be able to figure out the vector from this point down to this point. We see that the vector falls in the z direction by 4/10 of a unit from 5 to 4.6, and that it moves 2.7 units from here to here in the y direction, and it doesn't move at all in the z direction. So we can say that the second fundamental vector is what? 2.7 units in the y direction is 2.7 times the j vector, j being the unit vector in the y direction, minus 0.4 units in the k direction. Now we're going to take a closer look at this. We're going to put this down flat and do a few more calculations.